70% of you that are watching my YouTube channel are not subscribed. Please subscribe. There's a small bell on the side. Just click on it, you are subscribed so that you miss nothing, because I've got some powerful episodes that are coming. This is a special podcast that we're doing on Youth Month, because yesterday was June the 16th, and I thought it would be awesome for us to have a conversation with young people and talk all things young, all things money, education. So I've got some awesome guests this morning together with me. We are at a special place at the Hector Peterson Memorial. And we're hoping to have a great conversation. And I'm hoping that all of you that are watching will take some nuggets that you're going to use as you continue with your future endeavors. Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Yeah, my guests for today are Emmanuel Malepe. I'm just going to introduce a little bit about your education profile. He's got an NQF level 5 in banking, and that's where I met him, working at a financial institution. He did a financial course with the Charter Business College, and he's worked in the customer service space. He's got a great experience around fraud as a fraud analyst, a sales specialist, and he previously worked at Nedbank as a team leader at the call center. And he now works at MultiChoice in the customer care field. And then he does something on television. He volunteers there. He's on SuperSport Channel 202. Yeah, so he's got some great adaptation skills, willingness to work. He's very proactive. And I think that's what attracted me to you, Emmanuel. You know, I just found you to be such a young person that's willing to try all kinds of things. You've got a great attitude, very vigilant, a fast learner, and all of that. So, yeah, welcome, Emmanuel.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Wendy.
Awesome. And then next to Emmanuel is MIRRIAM Matebula. MIRRIAM is a seasoned youth segment manager in telecoms and financial services. She's experienced in project accounting, market analysis, and customer value proposition, especially in youth initiatives that address youth unemployment. I mean, we're facing youth and the highest numbers of youth unemployment, career guidance, skills development, and entrepreneurship. She has led and developed youth-based platforms and the kiddies education series called Penny Power. And that's where I met her for the first time, for the first time officially in a working environment, when she was curating this Penny Power, which she did in partnership with the Walt Disney Company. And it also won a Silver Pro Max Award. And she has founded the Corporate Athlete, which seeks to help professionals connect and self-develop and become future fit. She publishes a weekly newsletter to her subscribers. She has already published about 100 newsletters tackling corporate issues. And she's also produced 2 digital magazines. But MIRRIAM, over and above that, she's the founder of Azande Premium Coffee. And Azande means, let it increase. It's the name of her last daughter. And this coffee was nominated for the Youth Owned Brand Awards in 2022. Sure. Above all of that, MIRRIAM has just graduated with an MBA from Gibbs. But MIRRIAM, hey, I know, in a short space of time, you can actually do a lot, And then next to MIRRIAM is LESEDI. I'm going to have to put my glasses on. LESEDI matriculated in 2020 from Curtis Nkondo Mets Science and Entrepreneurial School with a distinction, might I add. He completed his NQF, I think it's level 5 ACTL, which is the principle of vocal teaching at Trinity College. He completed a certificate in music performance with a distinction, hey, from Trinity College in London. He's currently studying adverts for a Bachelor of Music extended curriculum. And Lesedi is from my home church, Grace Bible Church, and so is Miriam. And he's part of the awesome group that's called ... Unlimited. And I'd like to do a shout out to all the young people and their leaders, Nico Mazwi and his wife Makwena, Les Nkosi, Nombuso, and Kopano Chabalala. Ne? So that's awesome. Right, all the introductions are done and dusted. Let's get into today's topic. You know, we meet a day after the 1976 commemorations. And, you know, in 1976, when it all happened, I lived here in Orlando West, just down the road, Kopatela and Vilakazi Street. My cousin lives there currently. It's her home. And she runs a very successful B&B. It's called Neo's B&B. So if you ever find yourself in Orlando West, you can go there. It's an awesome place to go and sleep or have lunch. Koteng, shout out to you, Osadinki. And in 1976, really, I was 14 years old. And I was staying just down the road here. And I came back from school and Orlando West was on fire. And the young people at the time were really fighting, as we know, an unjust apartheid system. They were forcing us to study in Afrikaans. Hey, let's see about Afrikaans for Tata Juan. And so they really did a great job. You know, we are here because of them. They laid down their lives. As you can see, we are here at the Hector Peterson Memorial, really just to give that education as well, because some young people don't even know our history. So I thought this would be the perfect place for us to have this conversation. Well, you know, our generation faces different challenges. Youth unemployment is at its highest, poverty, gender-based violence. There are so many social ills that the youth of today have to rise up and fight against. And so that's why I thought, let's have a conversation, a holistic conversation with young people who are doing amazing things. I think you've heard as I was introducing them, they're just so amazing. And you know, as I was growing up, my parents and our parents in our generation, we are the generation that's called the baby boomers. Our parents didn't have conversations with us around money, you know. And I want us just to maybe start by talking about that. But before we go there, maybe just a brief, Emmanuel, where were you born?
I was born here in Gauteng. There's a place called Constein at the side of Lanseria. And it's funny because it relates to the part of history, because I was born during the protest. They call it Toi Toi. I even have that name, Toi Toi.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is all.
Emmanuel Toi Toi.
Yeah, but it's not on my ID.
Okay. All right. And then Miriam, where were you born?
I was born in Middleburg, in Mpumalanga. I grew up there. I only came to Johannesburg in pursuit of a degree. But most of my time, yes, I spent in Mpumalanga.
Okay, awesome. Okay, and when are Lesedi?
I was born here in Soweto, it's, at a hospital called Lerato.
Okay.
And I grew up here, so with the influence of everyone around me, my grandparents, and just the community at large. So I had a very rich upbringing when it comes to the history.
Okay, so, you know, in my role as in the bank, I used to head up consumer financial education. You know, the FSCA promulgated it as a law that financial institutions must go out there and teach communities about financial literacy. And that's how I got into the financial education space. And then, you know, the South African Savings Institute brought in what they call Teach Children to Save. And we started going into schools, teaching young kids, you know, about savings and investing. In my time, neretsa Afrikaans, neretsa biology, neretsa geography, no go sena budgeting, no go sena saving. When did you guys hear about financial principles in your journey? Was it from friends? Was it from family? Was it from school? Or anyone can start?
I can take it, it's fine. And I had this, I still remember the year, it was 2019. It was at Nedbank, 135. Funny part is that you were also part of the event when they invited T. Timba, and he came and shared his story about financial wellness, on how actually he was selling some of the items around Soweto. And that is where I took most of the principles about saving and investing and budgeting, that he was using money wisely to secure his future. And I took those principles from him.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, it was education drive that I
Yes.
was doing for NetBank
Yes.
staff, and I invited him to come and talk about his journey in the property space. Yeah, Kali promoter. Shout out to you, TT, as well.
Yeah, and
Okay, and Miriam?
So I mean, I grew up, you know, seeing the 2-liter bottles, you know, the 5 rand being put in there, and you know, the idea of a piggy bank or a money box was always something that I grew up around. But I started actually understanding it when I had what I would call my own money, because and the ability to make my own decisions, because I think budgeting, it's nice when it's on a spreadsheet and it's theoretical, but it's not so nice when you actually have to practice it. So I think there was the theory of it around saving and how it's important, but I think when I got to varsity and when I started really earning my own money and I had to make decisions on that money, that's when things became real. And you know, when you start work, you really get to understand things like profit and fund and all those things, and you don't even understand them, but you just get exposed that, oh, there's something called compound interest, you know, something that, you know, was really a foreign, you know. And I think even today we're still learning about financial you know, tools that can help us, you know, make money. So really, to answer the question, budgeting and saving has always been around us, but it only mattered, or it only became real when I could practically, you know, exercise the principles or whatever it is that I thought I was learning when I was young.
Okay, so Lesedi, I mean, you are a student, you are at Wits. I want to believe you get some sort of stipend in Yana on a monthly basis. And really, you know, when you chat to students, they'll tell you how the money is not enough, and for them to be able to do the things they want to do. What are the principles that you are applying to your to the money that you get, you know? And maybe you can also answer the question around where you heard about money before.
Right. So the first time I heard about financial literacy was back in 2017, and I was only in grade 7 by then.
Wow.
So you can imagine how helpful that information was when you're in grade 7. But because you probably don't have, you know, the money for you to quite save as much, you know. But it was in grade 7, and then
In grade 7 where?
at Diodi Primary School.
Oh, at your school?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
So they had, so one of the, I think it was Standard Bank, had given us just a short course on financial literacy, and then we got certificated thereafter. But then with what I'm doing now, so I'm not really getting a stipend at the moment from maybe a bursary or anything.
Okay.
So hence I had to take in work on Saturdays so that I can get like a stipend. So with my stipend that I get, with most of it, I try to separate it from what I need and what I want. So on a monthly basis, I know that this is what I want and this is how much I will set aside. So I think prioritizing the things that are more important or the things that are more of needs to me is how I actually set it. But I don't think I do actually budget the way
Yeah.
I should.
Yeah.
No, not at
Okay.
all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
I think I like the fact that, you know, you at least know that you need to separate, you know, there are needs and there are wants,
Yes.
you know, and in real life we can do without the wants, but it's the needs that are critical. I mean, I'm like Miriam, you know, on a monthly basis, I literally take a piece of paper. I don't use these complicated spreadsheets. You know, I just take a piece of paper and I take a pen and I start writing income. Then on the right-hand side, I start writing the things that are really important, which are you know, the needs, and I start with those, and then I come to the wants, and in there, I already incorporate my savings, you know, as part of what I'm doing. I get and say, "Ka change, kita bear something," you know. So that's I think that's the best way to do it, because the power of doing that is that as you are writing and you are doing that, you know, the numbers start having a conversation with you, and they say, hey, can you see that you are really going off track? And maybe, Emmanuel, just to talk to you about it, how have you found your investing and your savings journey this far? I mean, I know that, you know, as you were working, you also came into some other challenges that set you back. You know, how did you bounce back, and what are you doing, you know, as you are bouncing back?
Thank you for the question, and I'd like to highlight that mistake that made me actually to experience those financial difficulties. It was when I confused affordability and qualifying to get an item on credit from a retail store. Very, very important. We get confused when they give me a call to say you qualify for this car. Then you get to get that car, not actually facing the reality that you cannot even afford the repayment agreement. That will tarnish your name. And that is what I have experienced on a hard sore, you know. I took an item on credit thinking that actually I can afford because I qualify. I failed to honor the repayment. I'm sharing this sad story, and at the moment it is very inspirational. Then I was offered a job by FNB. I'll mention the company. When they did the credit checks, they couldn't actually continue with me because of the mistake that I did financially. Why I'm instilling this lesson is because I'm just trying to say that the financial mistakes does not only affect you on things that you need right now, but also the future. You cannot actually get most of the things that you want. And how did I actually overcome that is that as soon as I got blessed with employment, I paid close attention actually to honoring the repayment agreement, to actually clear my name back, and to start focusing on the things that I really need, move at my own pace, start thinking that I'm living my life not really to impress anyone, but to express who I am. It doesn't cost any cent.
Wow. Affordability versus qualifying. That the fact that you qualify does not necessarily mean you can afford the asset. And I think the lesson there is that young people and even older people need to pace themselves, you know, when they access credit. The fact that they say you afford, you know, they send you that letter, you know, I always get these SMSs, you can apply for a loan, 2 million. I'm like, yeah, man, I'm a pensioner, you know, and if you don't know these things, you can literally go for it and think that you'll be able to pay it. And really thank you for sharing. And maybe just to, as you are recovering, what are the things that you've put in place that are helping you to also start building your investing and your savings journey?
It's a great question. I also took financial principles and applied them in practical, especially in the space of investment. Happy to say that at the age of 23, I bought my first house.
Yeah.
And I'm not living in it. as an investment. There's someone
Wow.
really paying for it. And that is actually long-lasting investment to say, who is Emmanuel in the absence of employment? Can I still maintain and sustain myself and still keep my family, have food on the table?
Wow, that's awesome, Emmanuel. Hey. Okay, and then maybe to you, Miriam. I mean, you did Penny Power with the Walt Disney. Walt Disney, I more somewhere, more healthy, more or more bread, or okay, Walt Disney go America, you know. And you put together the Penny Power series, which is an education program for children. And so maybe just take us through that journey. What was so important, because you work a lot with youth, what was so important in coming up with a program for children? Why should we be teaching them these principles at such an early age?
So I do want to mention that it was obviously through my work at Nedbank
Yes.
with the Walt Disney Company. And I mean, it was in my capacity as a youth manager then to look at how might we bring, tangible education to young children. So the story, I mean, talks about how Penny Power needs to go through her life making financial decisions. And what we don't realize is that even kids as young as, I think Penny Power was staged to be between 8 and 12 years old. As young as that, the minute you wake up, even as a child, you are making financial decisions. And I mean, I'm going to make an example with my kids now. When they wake up, they want to know what's the plan. They'll ask, in fact, before they go to sleep, they ask, Mommy, what's the plan for tomorrow?
Wow.
Now, the plan for tomorrow means, okay, what must we do? They want to go somewhere. The minute you step out of your house, like money is already, leaving your purse. And so kids as young as, 8 years old, I mean, mine are 5, they need to understand that when we leave this house, or when we say we want to go to Papachino's, to Spur, all those things, it's money that has to leave the pocket. And therefore, it's really about how do we educate young children to say every decision that you make has a financial connotation to it. And, we grew up, money was not necessarily something that was discussed on the table. And this financial education piece was really to say, how do we bring money conversations on the table so that, everybody can have a conversation about it and understand that every decision is attached to a money. Every voice has an invoice, as they say. So really starting it very young is very important, especially because when I look at, how I grew up and how the rest of, probably how my parents grew up, money was never spoken of. If money is being spoken of, it's ayiko, and understanding that how do you then live? It doesn't make sense that you're saying ayiko, but, things must happen, So really bring it practical to children to say, you must save, you must you work for money, you must earn your money. It's something that needs to start at an early age. And that was the whole purpose of that piece of work.
Yeah. And there's a saying that says, "Ligojwa lisemanzi." Loosely translated, it means shape a stick while it's still moist. So the power of teaching kids these financial principles is that they begin to grow with them, and when they grow and they become young people, then they are able to implement, and they continue through life implementing the principles. So it's very important for us parents to have those money conversations with our children. So Lesedi, you said that you are currently working. Tell us a little bit about what you are doing and how you are using your stipend to change your life around. Because I think the money that we get, people always say, ki 350, ki 500, what can I do with that. So most of the time, people want to wait for $1 million before they can implement the basic financial principles. But by the time you have $1 million, if you didn't start R100, you are in trouble. So maybe just share with us what you do, what you're doing right now, because many young people are sitting there and are waiting for somebody to come and rescue them, to come and give them money, to come and, help them out. So you are helping yourself. And we're really having this discussion so that if there's a young person that's watching, they can also learn from you and take some nuggets and start doing certain things. So maybe I've asked like 10 questions at a go, so you can answer whatever you remember. Yeah.
So currently I work at Bright Stars Tutoring Services there, and I am an English tutor and the head of department for languages. And then I only matriculated last year, and I'm in my first year of study now, and I'm doing Bachelor of Music. And one thing about art degrees is that you need to get yourself out there before you can even get the degree, so that by the time you get the degree, it's just a matter of you have the qualification, but you're already known. So I found that it is important for me to get myself out there and to be known amongst the different sectors of which I could potentially get employment in after getting the degree. For example, when I was in grade 8, I started the school choir, and then I started conducting the choir. And then this year, I returned as an alumni, and I conducted the choir in the Estate Fort. And we went up to provincial level.
Wow.
So, yes. So a few people were saying, this young boy is shaking the province. And I was like,
Let him shake the province. Actually, Lesedi, before you continue, you remind me of myself, about maybe 45 years ago or so, because I'm really ancient, right? I used to play music. I used to play the piano. I used to play the violin. Luena.
I play violin. I have a
Wow,
I play violin and piano.
Yeah, I used to
And
do
voice
that,
as well.
and I was, I was trained by the great Kabim Goma, who is the late Sibongile Khumalo's dad. We used to play in the Our Union choir, and at home I used to have a piano. Most of the musicians used to come to my house to play my piano, to practice gayon, because my father was also a musician. So I come from a musical background. We can start singing right now, but that's not the purpose of this conversation. But, listening to you, I just see myself, those years back. Yeah, so you can continue.
So by so doing, I think that by the time I get my degree, it will be quite easy for me to get employment, because already I'm known in different sectors. So when I go there, I'm not going there to introduce myself, but I'm going there already known, and they know what I am capable of. So and that also, when you conduct, of course, they must at least, at least they should. So I go to several schools. They also call me to come and help their choirs, and of course, when I go there, they should. Yes, and then with the Saturday tutoring, they also give me a salary at the end of the month. So, and my sister, because she works at F&B as a head of department, she's there with finances. She tells you that no,
That's
you
good.
can't just.
Yeah.
So I have an F&B app, and that's where they have new features now. So it also has one that shows you your net worth. My goodness, sometimes it's very bad. Sometimes it's very bad.
Yeah.
But it shows you your net worth, and it also gives you a section where you can also put limits for certain things. So I also refrain from withdrawing money, so that on a monthly basis I can see how I spend my money. So you can put limits for example, I have limits for my music apps to say, when I pay for this, and this is how much I set aside. When I buy clothing, this is how much I set aside. When I buy groceries, this is how much I set aside. And then when I buy with my card on all from different shops, because it does say it's a home shop or it's a clothing shop, then it does show me that you are 200% above your budget,
Yeah.
you know, or you are. So I think that's really how I work around the salaries or
Yeah.
the different incomes that I get using that feature on the FNB app.
That's awesome. I like the fact that it shows you your net worth.
It's interesting that you earlier you mentioned that you don't budget like you should, but I think we perhaps have a very like I don't know how to call it, but we probably don't understand what is budgeting, right? Because you may have a budget that's on the spreadsheet, but I think what you have is so practical that it sort of surpasses, having something that is written down that you never look at. Because what happens, sometimes when you ask somebody, do you have a budget? And they'll say yes. But all they mean is that they have a spreadsheet of their income and their expenses.
Yeah.
But when it comes to at the end of the month, they don't do a reconciliation between what I said I'm going to spend and what I actually spent. Because, the actuals and the theory are two different things. Because my spreadsheet for the longest time said I had money. But at the end of the month, there's no money, And so I really like the fact that you practically reconcile your spending according to your what you've said for yourself.
And I love these banking apps, because they really communicate. If you use them well, they will tell you. And I mean, one of the things that I had to repent from quickly was, when my app showed me how much I was spending on takeaways, I nearly had a heart attack because that money could have gone into an investment, or I could have bought shares, I could have bought unit trust. I mean, like you said, Miriam, every purchase, every day as you spend money, it is going up and it is contributing to how, your expenses pan out in the end. So, it's important that you stick to the budget, but also at the end of the month, reconcile, And for young people, I mean, they're all here, they're all on the apps, and they're probably thinking, our apps are helping us. So go to your app, reconcile, look at where you are at, make those adjustments, Now I want to move to another part, as much as it's a education, a conversation, I also want us to inspire young people that are out there to start doing things for themselves. Emmanuel, one of the things that I love about you is that, for example, you are working at MultiChoice as a customer care specialist. But Dugu, as I was watching your postings, as you were posting yourself, your statuses, I see now you're in front of a camera, television. How did you get there? What motivates you to start going over and above what you've been employed to do?
Thank you for the question. Just in addition to what they have said, I think another name we should give a budget is discipline. Because after all, what is the purpose of writing those things and say it's the budget, but you always surpass, you're always low. So if you don't have discipline, then you don't have a budget. Thanks for the question as well. Mahmoud, it came with self-awareness. Who I am and what can I bring into space. In most cases that I get hired to do one thing, I will always give more because if I'm capable. But that is besides the point. The point is me about my future as well. So to be practical, I'm hired at MultiChoice to be a call center agent, right? But there's opportunities, and opportunities will never come to you and say, I'm an opportunity.
Yeah.
I went physically. You know how embarrassing sometimes can it be? I went physically, I knocked on different doors. I'm saying, I don't have skills. I don't even know what I want to do here. Have you been asked that question? I'd like you to please help me to better my life. I don't know what I'd like to do. And then every opportunity presented to me is an opportunity for me to learn something new. And thus I got an opportunity at Super Sport to analyze sport. And when I looked back, I used to play soccer, and I was given a name. I was called Bospeke. That is how terrible I was.
Bospeke.
Bospeke, Peke, right? So because
Bospeke.
Because of everyone, I'll just, make sure that you fall. But right now, everything is falling into place. It's about availing yourself to these opportunities. There's no one and there's nothing that you need more than yourself in this universe. You don't even need money. There's no money without human beings. When you have yourself, you have everything. So when you avail yourself to these opportunities, everything shall just come to you.
Sure.
That is the whole understanding behind why I'm always going extra mile.
When you have yourself, you
Yeah,
have everything.
everything.
Wow, wow, wow. That's a nugget for days. Eh? Yeah, and so that's how you've landed there. You're not getting paid
I'm not
to
getting
do
paid.
that.
Yeah.
You are volunteering. And I think I want to encourage a person that's watching and you probably don't have a job, you probably have got the skills, and there is a place where you can go and volunteer. Why not do it? Why not go out there and put yourself out there? It's while you are still doing something that you know the opportunities. I think we shouldn't sit back and wait for opportunities to come our way, but we should go looking for opportunities, go knocking. Like you say, it is a bit embarrassing, but you know what, you become bold and you just go in there. Of course they'll reject you, but you don't give up. You continue. It's about tenacity. It's about determination. It's about going forth because you know that you carry a lot within you. All right? So,
And to actually add on that, when we talk about volunteering, also just giving out service, it could be also at church, because while you serve and you learn the different things that you like and the things that you don't like, what you don't like draws you closer to what you actually like, so if you are out there and you also don't know what should I do, I understand that I should volunteer, I understand that I should do something, but what exactly? So just serve, give out whatever that you can. You just give people your time, and then what you don't like will draw you closer and closer to what you actually do want to do. So it's
that's awesome. Actually, when I encourage people at church, because many of the people that are now working for the big TV network stations, for the radio stations, they actually started volunteering at church, and you come in raw, you don't even know what to do with a mouse. Maybe you thought you must put it on your head, and then they teach you how to do that, how to operate, and how to do, even the guys, I think, that are helping us today set up the cameras and everything, they learned somewhere. They were volunteering at church, and that's how. So volunteer wherever you are. The church is the best place, or your community. We're not trying to force you to go to church, but we're just saying that the opportunities are many. They're there. If you think you can sing, go there. It's about 1, 2, 1, 2. And then, the rest is history for many. So Miriam, the corporate athlete. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. So I started the corporate athlete in a time where I felt like, I don't have control over my career. I felt like I am looking at my manager and, expecting everything to come from them. And, I love corporate, and I understand that, I am working for myself in an organization. And what I mean by that is I grew up hearing that, you're working for someone else. You're working for someone else. And I really wanted to understand, what does this mean? And because, I didn't unpack my career for myself at the time, I thought working for somebody, it means that they have the keys to my success. They have the keys to unlocking anything that I need. And that is a mistake that we all make. We say that, somebody else is basically holding your future. I was like, that can't be. So in 2019, I felt like I'm tired of handing the keys to my success to someone else. I want to be in the driver's seat of my career. I felt, there is no way that I could be happy at work and perform at work when I am not, happy about where it is that I'm taking my career. So the corporate athlete is really a concept that was designed and defined by authors of a book called The Power of Full Engagement. And it literally looks at how a sportsman show up on the sports field in order for them to be the best. And that is the same way that, somebody in corporate should look at themselves. So if you think about it, sportsmen, they ensure that they are fully trained up, right? They are physically well, they are healthy, they eat proper, and also they visualize winning before they actually even win. So from a mental perspective, they already get whatever it is that they want to get, and they achieve it in their minds, and their mental strength is actually harnessed. So I then looked at this and said, okay, corporate is very, they talk about the games. It's actually not games, it's a whole tournament. And it's a whole championship. So if you are not showing up as an athlete, one who is ready to take on the race, one who visualizes themselves winning, one who actually plays to win, one who's in control, of the game that they are playing, one who understands what is the game that I'm playing. Because, you cannot, pitch up at a rugby field, with a tennis racket. So you have to understand, what sport am I playing? What is it that's happening at MultiChoice that I need to understand? What is it at Nedbank, at MTN, the companies that I've worked for, that I need to show up as? At what game am I playing? So I then formed this corporate athlete to say, I'm surely not the only one who's going through a point of I'm feeling stagnant in my role. I'm feeling like I'm not growing. So really the corporate athlete is helping other professionals to realize what career path they should be taking, and more importantly, how you are as an athlete in this sport that you are playing. How are you showing up? How are you fueling yourself? How are you, enriching yourself? If we think about it, a soccer match is 90 minutes, but it takes longer to practice and to train. So how are you training? So I used to get into meetings, and, I would be so frustrated about how this meeting is going, but it's because I haven't prepared. So now I look at my diary and I prepare. And sometimes it took me having to prepare what I'm going to say, write it down and say it out loud, record myself, listen to what I'm saying. Because in corporate, it's also not for sissies, right? You find sometimes, people, you feel like they're not hearing you, but are you hearing yourself? What you're saying, is it making sense?
Or are you just contributing?
Are you just
because you are in the
contributing?
meeting?
Exactly.
You are in the Zoom call, and then they say Wendy, and you just say whatever.
And even that, not even saying anything. When we went on to Teams calls during COVID, if you're that person who always says nothing on my side, should I really invite you again?
Anything from you?
Nothing from my side all the time. So I really help in my newsletters. I really help professionals to say, okay, how can you contribute when it's review time? When it's maybe it's feedback time. How should you receive feedback? How should you give feedback to your colleagues? How do you become a team player, etc.? Because all these things, unfortunately, nobody teaches us at school. Nobody teaches us that, hey, when you get to corporate, yes, you know what you know, but you need to be able to manage upwards, manage your boss upwards, or you need to manage your colleagues. How do you say no when they give you a lot of work to, like, how do you really manage yourself? Nobody teaches us that. They teach us accounting, and that's what we know, but we don't know how to play with other kids. And hence I say, it's a sport.
Yeah.
How do you play this sport, in the field that you are in?
Wow, I like that, And actually, in the corporate athlete, they just don't sit around, they go on cruises. So if you really want to have fun while you are empowering yourself to really play well in the sporting field, which is the corporate world, make sure that you connect with MIRRIAM and join the corporate athlete. They have these awesome meetings and events, dinners, and even if you're not probably in corporate, it will be a perfect place for you to go to attend and start learning the ropes, from those people that are there. Emmanuel, I know the next one, I'm gonna buy you the ticket for the next one because I know you like these things, and if you want to go, I'll sponsor you to Miriam's event so that you can meet all these other corporate people, and you start learning from them. One of the gentlemen that I love a lot, Piwe Moyo, was sharing that, when he started working, he volunteered somewhere and he was making photocopies.
Yeah.
And the power, because some people, if we the photocopy, it's a lowly job, can a degree, can a master's, why must I go kill it at the photocopy? And while he was doing those photocopies for meetings, he started bringing them into boardrooms. And in the boardrooms, then he would stay and he would listen to the conversations and he was learning, he was getting empowered. By the time he had finished, now he's a well sought out international speaker. All over the place, And it started off making copies and just being there. So if you put yourself in spaces where opportunities are there, opportunity will find you there, give whatever you can, to others. And then, the reciprocation starts coming your way. As we draw to a close, Emmanuel, if you are, there are young people that are watching us, I just want you to give them some closing nuggets. We call it seeds of wisdom here. And just to encourage them, and just to drop something that they will take out of here and hold on to tightly. What would that be?
The most powerful lesson that I can emphasize on, it's mostly about self-awareness. When you're self-aware, you become aware of everything around you and everyone around you, right? And also to put emphasis on the challenges of life. This one is going to be more a little bit practical. I will need your assistance on this one, please. I need you to do your hand like this, please. Listen to the instruction carefully. I'm going to push. Thank you. The instruction said I'm going to push. No one said that he needs to push back. This is what we are doing. When life gives us challenges, we hit back. Sometimes you just need to let things just come to us. Let's take those lessons that come through pain and prosper. They come and leave that scar that tomorrow when you strive, you look back and say, I went through this before and I conquered. But every time when you question things that are happening here, you start losing focus and come with complaints and excuses. The reason why I constantly avail myself is that I know that I'm capable. I'd like to share something, just a practical one. Right now we are going to face FIFA World Cup for females, July. I'm going to be analyzing that one.
Wow.
And the invitation came through WhatsApp. So simple. There's someone sitting at home applying with CVs. Apply yourself first before you can put that formal application. If you apply yourself, everything shall be applied on your behalf.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
Wow, thank you so much, Emmanuel. And I love that. And LESEDI, you're closing, especially for young people that are studying, what is it that you'd like to leave for them out there?
I think I would just like to add one on what he said, because it was so great. And I feel that is something that subconsciously I have been applying for my own self, putting yourself out there. Because what we are afraid to do is that we feel that we are underqualified or we are not really worth being out there and showcasing our skills and our talents. So what I would say to all the young people is that put yourself out there. If there are opportunities that are presented to you, grab them with all that you can, because in this day and age, what we need is for young people to be rich with knowledge, to be filled, to be readers, to be critical thinkers, to be people who are well experienced in any sector. So we need different people. So in whatever that you're good at, apply yourself diligently also in it. And just,
Wow. Wow. Well, Miriam, the one thing, you are a youth manager. All your roles, you deal with youth. You come up with solutions for young people. Youth Month, we're doing this special podcast for you, for young people. What do you inspire young people? What is your message to young people? What should they be doing in these tough times?
So I think a lot has been said, and I do agree. And I think another way of looking at volunteering, right, is staying ready. You know, I used to stand in front of my camera, dress up as if I'm going to say something that is of power, but and I would prepare what I want to say either to the youth or to wherever, stand in front of the camera and really pretend as if I am speaking to masses. I'd practice that, and I would really just stand ready. So I would say to young people, stay ready. In whatever it is that you want to do. From a financial perspective, my seeds of wisdom would be that aim in life to spend the money, not the money that you make, but the money that is made by your money.
Whoa,
Yeah.
whoa. The money that is
Made by your money. Yeah.
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 Hey,
Don't
dropping
eat,
bombs here. Hey.
don't eat the money that you have worked for, right? Eat the money that your money has worked for you. So what that simply means is that, it's so easy to make money today and want to spend it today, right? We often discount, or sometimes we don't know the value of interest, or the value of putting money away for a long time. And it doesn't start with us having $1 million, like you've said. It starts by us, being disciplined, like you've mentioned, with that 100 rand, or whatever it is that you have that will secure you for the future. Put it away, like put it away in a fund that has interest, obviously, because the power of compound interest is it's unexplainable. And I mean, if you continue to listen to this podcast, I'm sure you will learn more and more about that. So that you will have the interest of that money. So it's not the money that you have worked for, but it's that money should be working for you. The last thing that I want to say is that, life is not linear. Like, I thought I was going to be a CA. I wanted to be an accountant, but now I'm using the principles that I've learned through that schooling of wanting to be an accountant, and I work a lot with marketers, and I also get to serve my purpose, or I feel like this is my passion. From young, I was a Sunday school teacher. I've also been a youth leader, and so if corporate is entrusting me with this, it's really talking to being self-aware and talking to understanding what you like. But life is not linear. Here I am. I'm an owner of a coffee brand that I never thought it would ever happen. That also came about just exposing myself, understanding what is there to be learned. I mean, I import from Brazil. I roast here in South Africa. Something that I'd never thought will happen. So I would say to young people, go out there and really the world is your oyster, really. The talent that you have, right? Whatever it is that is in you is needed out there in the world, and like you said earlier, that no one is coming to rescue you. No one is coming to spoon feed you and say, hey, here's an opportunity. Nobody came and said, did you know that you can import for... I had to find out myself, and I had to read myself. And today you have the tools of using, the internet, to upskill yourself. So I would say the person that you are looking for is right within you, and you can literally change the world by changing your world around you.
Wow. Well, yes.
Just on that, like she really touched a very pointed point, that life is not really going to be linear to you. And no one said it's going to be easy. Most importantly as well is it always seems impossible up until it's done. Spiritually, mentally, and physically you need to be prepared, because proper preparation prevents poor performance.
Yo, the PPPs.
The spiritual, the mental, and all of that, those are the principles of the corporate athlete, by the way. Because when you're not physically okay, you can't work. When you're not spiritually okay, you cannot work, when you're not prepared mentally and you haven't exercised mentally, you know, you're unable to come in. You know, when I started the corporate athlete, I started doing affirmations. I never knew what I'm doing, but, you know, speaking to yourself and telling yourself that, you know, you are born for this, you're good enough. Unfortunately, it takes 11 positive words to cancel one negative one. So, you know, when you start talking positively to yourself and you really train your mind to say that I am the best that I can be, things are working for my good, you know, things will work out. You then start believing it. The mind doesn't know what has happened and what hasn't happened. So whatever you're thinking, if you think that I'm useless, I'm not gonna do, the mind thinks, oh, okay, this is where
This
we
is
are.
who we
This
are.
is really,
Yeah.
this is what we should produce: uselessness, laziness, etc. But I know that the youth of today, and I mean, I've done many studies with youth. The youth of today actually have what it takes to get there. They actually have, you know, the material that makes us, you know, world leaders. And what I like about the youth is that they're not leading tomorrow. They're not doing things tomorrow. They're doing it today. And I think it's a matter of, like, you know, believing in yourself, trusting in that, you know what, I can make it. I can do it. If so and so has done it, I can do it, but I can do it my way.
Wow. Okay, the way the conversation is going, Mona Okare Aliva through faith, and
Yeah, we should just get
nuggets.
things
Ay,
started.
batlaka form. So anyway, I think as we end off, one of the big things that I take out from this conversation is about vision. Is that vision is a picture of a preferred future. So you imagine it already being done, and then you go for it. So you need to start training your mind, you know, to really believe, to see it, you know, in your mind, and then you go for it, you know. And what I also want to say is that start, Mwanakokai. Start, you know. There's a story that we like telling when we do coaching, and it talks about providence. It talks about how a man was sitting at a dinner table with friends, and he had always wanted to go mountain climbing. And then at the dinner table, he just mentioned it in Jane passing. Mount Mangma. He was so surprised that people around the table, one said, no, I'll teach you, you know, which shoes to use and how to use them. Omungar, no, I'll train with you. I've done it before. How? Omungar, no, nah, I'll help you with this, that, and the other. And so he was amazed that just by mentioning his intention, providence came. So what I want to say to you watching is that, what is it that you have in your hand? What is that big idea that you have? Start somewhere. Providence will find you while you are on the way. Have that vision. Have those positive affirmations. You know, be self-aware. Be willing to volunteer to do something with your life. Over and above, apply financial prudence to the little money that you make, you know. But I was talking to a young person, you know, in our cell group, and she was talking about how she's at university and money is too tight to mention. So she started making fat cakes, go university. And she's selling them, and she's also adding, you know, when she sells a packet of fat cakes, she also gives a scripture. I was like, wow, that is so awesome. So, you know, what is it that you can do? You can make fat cakes. You can make cakes. You can do something. You can start something. Start small. Somebody will see you, will see the determination, and they will come and they will partner with you. And so we've come to the end of our conversation. What a conversation. And thank you, Emmanuel. Thank you, Miriam. Thank you, LESEDI, for just gracing me with your presence on this wonderful day, at this wonderful place. And for you watching, thank you. I'd like you to like, to subscribe. But for mga tabatsi buru who subscribe you and there's a little bell nyana mo. You just click on it and you are subscribed so that you don't miss the coming episodes. They are powerful. There's a lot that's going to be shared here. Miriam was talking about compound interest. We're going to unpack all of those things. So thank you for joining us, and I hope you found some powerful nuggets that you take from this conversation that you will use. Until next time, subscribe.